Hi there, amazing artists. Ms. Pelavon here to show you how to create your cityscape using your monochromatic painting that you worked on previously, as well as your sky painting that you created last class. When you get back your monochromatic paper, you're going to cut your pieces so that you have 4 separate colors. And these are going to be used to create different parts of the city. We're going to overlap them to create some ideas of space in our artwork, starting with the lightest being in the farthest back and then the darkest being in the front. This is called the foreground, the front of your picture. So it's going to look similar to this artwork right here. So the darkest color is in the foreground or the front, and then the colors get lighter as they go back. So you're going to be creating that line to show the buildings today, and you're going to glue them onto your sky color paper that you created. This one was kind of boring, so we needed some colors in our sky. So here we go. First thing I did was I cut my value paper in 2 sections. There should be 4 pieces. And then on the back side of the paper, I started drawing the line to create the tops of the buildings. Sometimes buildings, the skyscrapers are flat on top. Sometimes they have a triangular shape, kind of like this. So you decide how you want yours to look. Just try to have a big variety. When we looked at the artwork on the smartboard during the previous class, when we did our sketches, you were trying to make it look like a large city with many different sizes of buildings. So you want to try and create that as well. And I did that on all of my pieces. And notice that I didn't make the lines go down to the bottom of the paper because I just want to cut little sections from the top to create that skyline illusion. So I'm going to cut these very quickly, and then we'll start arranging them on our paper. Notice when I cut from the edge, if I can, and then down to the farthest line down. That will be the easiest way to cut. Sometimes if you start cutting this way and you keep cutting down and you try to go across, it makes it a little bit trickier for you to cut, but I always like to start from an edge. So take your time to make nice cuts, because your artwork will look much better the neater your artwork is. So there's my farthest one away. That would be called the middle ground because it's in the middle of the picture. The background would be the sky. So let me find the next darkest color, which would be this one, and I'll cut that one. You have to pay really close attention when you're cutting if you want your artwork to be nice and neat. I'm not so much worried about what the buildings are yet, because I'm just trying to create that skyline feel to make it look like a city. And the buildings that are back here are going to give the illusion of them being a little bit taller, just because that's naturally what they will look like, because this one will overlap it to create some space between those two. So I'm laying these out so that I can see a little bit of each color in my space, making it more interesting when we look at it. Now I know this is taking a long time, but I want you to realize that yours isn't going to be done fast like you snap your fingers. It's going to take a little while, and I pre-drew these, so I was a little bit faster than you, but that's okay. And notice I'm not gluing anything down yet either, because I want to make sure they look right first, because I can go back and cut in some more shapes if I need to. while I'm doing this, I feel like I need to hurry to do it faster so that you can have time to work, but I need to remember that I need to do my work nicely as well. Sometimes it's difficult to focus, so I have to refocus myself. So all these little pieces I'm going to put to the side because I'm not going to use them. I don't want them interfering with my art. So I have cut all of my pieces. The darkest piece is going to be at the bottom. I don't want to glue it yet. I'm just laying it out to see what it looks like. Then the next darkest will be behind that, and I want to make sure that I don't have any sky peeking through, because if the sky is peeking through, then it will look like there's a hole in the building. So I want to make sure that the second one down, I get all the way back there. And see how these are overlapping and creating interesting skyline features. I might want to go back and cut another piece out of this one just to make it a little more interesting, but I can do that in a second. But this is where I get to reflect on my work and see if I need to make any changes. The next darkest color goes underneath that, and I'm going to try and overlap them nicely. Now, you also have those extra little pieces of paper. So what you could do, if this is bothering you and you don't like it, you could stick this extra paper back here and cover it up so that you have more space and these buildings can be taller. So it's a good idea not to throw your scraps away, just set them aside because you might be able to use them later. Like if I want to make these ones a little bit taller, I could put some of that lighter green in here to cover up that sky space because I don't want to see the sky through my building. It doesn't really make sense. So I would try to find the color that matches and put it in there in a way like that. So it looks like that's covering up that part there. That looks good. All right, and then my last one will go up here. And I think I'm ready to start gluing now. Now, when you're gluing, I'm gonna stand back here a little bit, and I'm going to use the brush glue. This is just a container of glue that students use all the time. It's for the white table. It's labeled white on the side and it has a white lid. You'll use the one for your table. There's also a brush there that you can use to apply the glue onto your paper. What I like to do if I'm gluing lots of stuff like this and I'm afraid it's going to move, I would just lift up the edge a little bit, apply a little bit of glue, and stick it back down. And then I would do that for the next layer too. Set it down. Glue there, set it down. And then the last one I glue here. I could even put it on the back of my paper so that I'm not making a big deal. Now, I want to let this dry so that this can stay in the right spot and I can put glue on the rest of it. If I try to glue each piece individually, it will kind of fall apart and I might get lost. So I want to try to just glue one side and then I'll progressively glue the rest so that it makes more sense. All right, these are stuck down pretty good, so I can start gluing the backmost layer in that middle ground. And I'm going to just start by gluing the tops of the buildings that I can reach. Just going to put a little bit of glue under here and hold it down. Probably need to count to 10. And I tell my kindergartners, you can say voila, and then it's stuck. But holding it down helps the glue stick a little bit better. Okay, so I'm trying to hold all my papers down so they don't wiggle around. You might want to put your brush down when you're doing that. I'm trying to be like an octopus and have lots of hands here. All right, that back layer should be good. So I'll count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then it should be stuck down pretty good. Now I'm going to go on to the next layer. So you're progressively going to glue these pieces down. And then after you finish that, if you get all of them stuck down, you can start to use the Sharpie markers to add some texture to your buildings. You can add windows, try to put in some different patterns, and there will be some images on your table of different cities and what buildings could look like in your artwork. So you want to try to do that. I also took the Sharpie marker and outlined all of my layers just to make the lines look a little bit more precise, and you can do that too. Down here on the bottom, you could draw some little cars and some little people. This is just giving the illusion of a city. Remember, it's not really looking exactly like a city. It's a little bit abstract. So even though it is a city, we are using different colors, trying to give it a mood, kind of, with that color scheme. And just remember also the darkest color is in the foreground, which means the front, and the lightest color will be in the background with the back, because things kind of get a little blurry and fuzzy when they get farther away from us. So I'm going to continue gluing here, and this will be finished for when you get to see the example. And when you're done today, your paper goes in the finish box. Make sure the brush that you're using for your glue is outside the glue in the little tray, and you make sure that you put your lid back on your glue so that the next class can have the privilege of using that glue as well. Good luck!